Good day, my brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ our Lord. We had some wonderful rain last night and early this morning again. It is just evidence again that God is in control and God is the creator of all creation. I would like to read to you a passage of the Gospel of Mark, chapter 7, and there from verse 31 up until verse 37. We read in verse 31 that Jesus is in the region of the Decapolis. And then in verse 32, the following takes place. And they brought a man to him who was deaf and had a speech impediment. And they begged him to lay his hands on him. By laying his hands on someone is evidence of healing or blessing that's going to take place. And taking him aside from the crowd privately, he put his fingers into his ears and after spitting, touched his tongue. And looking up to heaven, he sighed and said to him, in other translations, especially in the King James, we read groaning, or he groaned. Now, what did he say? In his mother tongue, the Aramaic, Ephata, which means be opened. And his ears were opened, his tongue was released, and he spoke plainly. After this verse, we read how the people rejoiced, and this was a testimony of who Jesus was. Jesus told them, be quiet, but if you have experienced something similar like that, I wouldn't be able to keep quiet about it. Everyone needs to know about this miracle that Jesus performed. And then the crowd is giving the following testimony of Jesus. We read this at the end of verse 37. He has done all things well. He even makes the deaf hear and the mute speak. Brothers and sisters, what's happening here? If you read in Isaiah chapter 35, you will know exactly there was a prophecy that this is going to take place. When you read at the end of verse 4, it differs from language or from translation to translation, but it is evident that it comes, or the topic comes through, or the guidance from God. We can even say the promise of God. God will save you. And then the evidence of God's salvation is the following. The deaf will be unstopped. Those that are mute will be able to speak. Their ears will be opened and their mouths will also be opened. Their tongues will be able to tell, to preach, to minister, to testify of the great gospel of Jesus Christ. Isn't this exactly what God did through his son Jesus Christ? He came to save us. Jesus used one word, that Aramaic word, ephata, be open. Or you can also say, depending on translations, be opened. He took his fingers out of the man's ears, and his ears were opened for the first time to do what? To hear the voice of the risen Christ, as we are experiencing it today. For when we hear the voice of the shepherd, we are able to listen and to follow him. And what happens then? Then your tongue is being loosened by the living Christ as well. To do what? To minister, to testify, to preach of the wonderful gospel of Jesus Christ that saved me. I once was blind, but now I see. I once was deaf, but God did what? He opened my ears. I once was mute. I was silent. I couldn't preach. I couldn't testify. But the Lord released me. And the Lord broke everything that kept me from preaching the gospel. May you have a Ephata moment as well.